Kia ora Lumines, welcome back to our channel, and today Keiji is joined with me today.
Yay!
And we are talking about the Set 10 Whispers in the Well Set Champ meta decks. So we are going into Whispers in the Well Set Champ season, and again we are talking about a couple of the popular archetypes out there right now, and we are giving little tips and tricks. And today we have 6 original lists that Keiji, yours and truly, has made for us to share. So of course he was top 4 in DLCQ Auckland, and as well as in DLC Singapore he was top 32 as well. So it's not just a list made by a random, it is a list made by a great player.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a competitor too, but I also love Lorcana play like on casual level to like on really professional level. Both sides. We would like to present you those decks for enjoying set champs, but also enjoying Lorcana itself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a card game. So, you know, the ground point is that we enjoy the game. I know that you want to
game,
win those promo cards and then win the playmat, and you want to be competitive, but we want you guys to have fun while you're at it as well. So we're going to be talking about these 6 deck types that we have for you guys today. So let's get to our first one. Right, so for our first deck, we are talking about the Amber Emerald deck, and this time we're not talking about the Circle of Life deck, we are talking about the Amber Emerald Aggro type for set 10, set champs. So it's an aggro, so of course we have 4 copies of Daisy Duck, we can't miss it. And we have 4 copies of Lady and 2 copies of Bobby Zamoski. For our new cards, we have 2 copies of Ilomi, and we have 4 copies of Baby Vanderquack. And we have 4 copies of Lilo, 4 copies of Mowgli, and 2 copies of Rapunzel. So those 2 cards are new from this set as well. 4 copies of Gogo Tamago, 4 copies of Tramp, 4 copies of Lady, 4 copies of Ursula, and 2 copies of the new cards Raja. 4 copies of Lady Shift, and 4 copies of Big Tramp. And we have 2 copies of Della's Moon Lullaby, which is also a new card, and we are running 2 copies of, and we're definitely going to talk about it, so we'll get to that in a minute. And we are still running 2 copies of Under the Sea, and we are running the 3 copies of Emerald Chromicon. So this deck is quite simple. As you can imagine, you are making a board state by playing cheap cost characters. In terms of speed wise, from my knowledge, I don't think there's any archetypes out there that can beat the board presence as fast as this deck can. And you are playing cards like Emerald Chromicon or Lady or Tramp to keep your board state and go wider while they don't have many characters left, and recovering your hand with cards like Lady and getting to the cards that you need with Tramp to control the board and quest out to 20. And for last law game, you have obviously Gogo Tamago to support that. Keiji, do you want to add some information on the new cards that we got from the set, and also the Della's Moon Lullaby?
As Tai described, this deck is one of the fastest deck in the environment. The metagame has been shifted, so most of the players choose to play the mid-range deck to defeat this aggro deck. We choose like a couple of the new cards for this build, such as Rapunzel, Mowgli, and Eromi, and then Lazure. So the Rapunzel is one of the quite uniquest card in this set. So she has the support, and the second ability can ignore damage once your character targeted by the support. But we also the first time people are so excited about that. It turns out it wasn't that too effective if the opponent is not focused on challenging to you. So only deck the Rapunzel making deficiently is the aggro deck. Aggro deck questing more, so they have to challenge your character. And the Rapunzel can giving you a one-time shield. And when you play Rapunzel and quest to Lilo, or supporting Lilo, then Lilo is kind of the invincible. They have to challenge it twice, which giving you more chance to questing. Another strategy or another biggest change is kind of the Webby. Maybe we don't have the shifted this time. However, it can giving you additional 2 strengths onto the ready, and it has the huge changes. The last time we used a Merryweather to support ready, but it cost you 2 ink, then maybe just complete it with just 1 ink. That's a huge difference. And Eronway is also the same effect. She has the support, so she can also support ready again. And when you play additional character, ready can gain additional 2 lords. So all the lines are actually like lined up on just focusing on gain the roar at this moment. And the Mowgli is different type of hand discard, the utility. We used to have Uthra to discard a song card, but the discard song card is not enough, and sometimes they don't have the song, but they have the actions or locations or items. In that case, Mowgli is a better option. The worst card against this aggro deck is Spooky Sight, which is like an Sapphire opponents usually do, but Mowgli also can prevent that one. Then the new card, Dera's Moon Larva, is actually like reflecting the metagame. So the metagame, I told you the metagame has been shifted. It was dominated by Amethyst Steel. Predominantly, when you look at some tournaments, or most of the tournaments, there are predominantly like Amethyst deck exist. And the Amethyst Steel is one of the most stable deck. It's because they are just putting 1, 2, 3 characters and then finish the game with singing. That's so simple and that's so powerful. To defeat those decks, we need to aim their hole. Their weakest point is they are usually having 8 banished character. Banished character, when they targeted by the action, they will be disappeared. And the Cobra is the worst enemy against this aggro deck, but if you have the Dera's Moon Runaway, you really don't have to be afraid of them. The second biggest change was, so we still have Uthra still, and the Mowgli, because like Amethyst Steel is the worst opponent ever for this deck. Then another change is we're actually having there less Chromicon or more Chromicon. That's the issue. We are like, most of the time people try to choose like Emerald Chromicon 3. It's because it's uninkable. And we already have like tons of the uninkable, like such as Daisy-Duck and Lady and Under the Sea. So we'd like to make the deck smoothly, like make the deck work smoothly. So that's why we didn't choose something like a powerful card and powerful bodyguard, because they are uninkable. And then Emerald Chromicon should be reduced into 3. We'd like to use 4, however this time it's just 3. This time we haven't choose Tiana in this deck. The reason is she's uninkable. So first, she's uninkable. Second, we don't have the Brawl in the tournament. However, we have too many powerful strength characters on the board. At the time, I was thinking, like a Ruby Amethyst deck is rising at the moment, and the key card is Headless Horseman. And Headless Horseman can easily remove your Tiana. If you are relying on Tiana, your strategy going to be crumble when they play Headless Horseman. Precisely the reason we didn't choose Tiana in this deck, and instead of that, just keep questing with the characters and more faster speed.
As KG described, the Spooky Side is definitely make it or break it kind of card against this deck. However, you are running Mowgli, so Mowgli will be an absolutely crucial piece when you are facing Sapphire deck. And the reason that I say that is, we have mentioned it in a previous video as well, but if they don't have Tipo, they only have Saudi Azra at Sea, and if you play Mowgli, you can actually miss their ramp if you're on the play. And even if you don't hit that and then they hit another card like Spooky Sight, you can also hit that as well. Ursa is probably more reliable against sometimes Blurple, but more so on the Steel type decks because you can get rid of Zeus as well as Strength of Raging Fire. So those strong removal cards that is quite a bit of a threat for this archetype is definitely taken care of by these two cards. And for especially Sapphire type decks, you do run out of your hand quite a lot because you have to ink more to get to those high cost characters. So for you to hit something with Mowgli, chance increases, and it's usually great if you are able to get rid of those cards. And probably another honorable mention card to be gotten rid of by Mowgli would be the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook as well.
True, the guidebook would be the targeted.
While we on the topic of Emerald type decks, we are going to move on to the next list, which is Emerald Amethyst Tempo. So this deck has 7 unlinkable cards. To give a little breakdown, we have 2 copies of 1-drop Diablo, 4 copies of the brand new card Flynn Rider 1-drop, and 4 copies of the Webby that we have talked about already, Gogo Tamago, Ursula, Cheshire Cat, which is a new card from the Whispers Within the Well, Prince Philip, 3-drop, and 3 copies of Demona, which is also a new card, 4 copies of Genie, 4 copies of the Webby Shift Target this time, which we'll be definitely talking about, and 4 copies of the brand new card Hades, and 3 copies of the brand new Demona, 4 copies of the Shift Prince Philip, and guess which cards are back? Pull the Lever and Wrong Lever. As well as obviously the new action song, Malicious, Mean and Scary. We have to run this because we obviously got the Prince Philip Shift, and we have one of those best. Yeah, let's cover a couple of the new cards. Let's actually start with the Malicious, Mean and Scary because that's probably the easiest one to talk about.
Amethyst Emerald is kind of the rare combination at the moment. Not so many people are choosing that. Needless to say, the reason we choose Emerald, when you play to choose Emerald card, you always have to bring Malicious, Mean and Scary and Prince Phillips at the same time. This combination can remove all the opponent's cards from the field. Simply, when you sing or play that song and put the 1 damage counter onto the opponent's side and play Prince Philip with the shifting, then there's no characters on the board on the opponent's side so that you can quest easily, and there's no way to prevent it at the moment, unless they discard your song card.
Or play Pete.
Or play Pete, yeah. And the Pete is quite rare at the moment. It's because it's not so effective. The reason is there's no be prepared on the board. Purple-green deck, such as this Emerald deck, is a bit far from the usual Amethyst strategy. As you can see, we don't have Dumbo or Elsa, which is always crucial for the Amethyst deck. Instead of that, we have Emerald combinations, such as Prince Philip combination. So that's why we reduce those cards. We focus on some shifting and the boost, which are a kind of a new combination in this environment. Wavy Bandit Quack will be shifting on turn 2. And when you play second and your opponent using Sapphire deck, you can also accelerate your ink by just questing. It's because her shifted version of her can give you additional ink when you are behind in the Inkwell. So that's the first part, and she's also having ward. Your second hidden keyword in this deck is a ward. They cannot target your characters just by actions or spells. So you can actually wait until they are start exerting and you start challenging and controlling the board easily. So ward is another powerful ability in this metagame, because most of the time only way they can remove your character is a challenge, not singing a song. So this deck is quite strong against unusual Steel Amethyst deck. And we have the Cheshire Cat, of course, to controlling, challenging damage board. And Demona is too powerful against some steel decks. It's because she has a 6 strength when she's challenging. To make her more efficiently, we also back them up with Demona, but not Elsa. Elsa is not necessary. It's because we don't have much characters on the board when we play the Elsa. And the opponent have to do the quest before us. Other than that, we just splitting our board and play Prince Philip. So that's why they have to quest. We are able to just chasing it, not with the Elsa's rush, but just playing Demona.
That list looks like an absolute nightmare for the Emerald Sapphire decks, to be honest.
Yeah.
If I was playing Baja, I would not want to see this deck come at me. This is terrible to deal with.
Bandit Quack is nightmare for Emerald Sapphire,
and then they also have the fast questing that you can't really get rid of early, and then the Demona comes out, then you can't exert, and then all of a sudden Bandit Quack stays there forever, matching your ink because you don't have any card to get rid of it. By the time you shift, it's too late. It's too late.
So true. So true, yeah. And also the Cruiser River and Long River is an interesting combination. The first time I saw in the tournament scene was actually Edmond Chu. He used it for the World Championship and the other things. This card combination is quite fascinating. So Cruiser River giving you additional 2 cards, or if the opponent have fewer cards in their hands, you choose to let them discard 1 card from their hand, let them squeeze their hands. And the second one, Long River. Long River usually works as a Mother Knows Best, but not the song. So you might gonna be passing the turn. However, the second ability can be triggered when you already pull the river. Then you can just remove the character without costing anything. It's just 3 cost Hades, but not giving them the ink.
It's quite fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Long River, Cruiser River, fantastic. And Mother Knows the Best. There's not much things to say about it. It's a good control deck here. So the cards, the first time I was considering about using Clarabelle, but Clarabelle is too slow at the moment. The environment is kind of the fastest speed. And Clavel, to use Clavel efficiently, you have to put your welcome and the mother's knows best with like full combination of the set. In that case, you also still have to keep like a malicious mean and scary combination. So the card occupies space too much.
It's almost like you can only play that combo in blue-green, isn't it? You can't really put that card purely because it's strong almost now.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Or Sapphire Steel deck or Blurple at some point. However, they don't have the answer much, but also like when you are facing aggro deck or mid-range deck, those don't do anything actually. And against like I tested with like Amethyst Steel and it didn't work well at all. Yeah, the environment was like filled with those types of deck. I really don't think that Clavel combination should be work in this color combination.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about another Amethyst type of decks, and it's my favorite right now. It's Ruby Amethyst. So yeah, it's a tempo type of deck, mostly more so focused on questing, I would say. It's running 12 uninkables this list. It's a little bit different to the list that I have talked about on our channel recently. So yeah, check this list as well, and check the other two lists that I have covered as well to see like what fits your playstyle the most. There are a lot of different styles out there. So this one, we are running the 1-drop Diablo, the 1-drop Palace Guard, 2 copies of actually Rafiki, and we are running 2 copies of Violet Brewing, 4 copies of the new Diablo, and we are running Lumiere, Cheshire Cat 4 copies of, and we are running the 3-drop Tinkerbell Evasive, 2 copies of the Demona for 6. We are running Dumbo for this list, as well as Genie and Elsa. They are 4 copies of in this list, which we will talk about in a minute. And then we are running 4 copies of the brand new Hades, of course, 4 copies of the Headless Horseman, the reason that we are building this deck, and 4 copies of Demona, 2 copies of They Never Come Back, and 4 copies of Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. Let's move on to a couple of the new cards and also the picks for this list.
Alright, so there are a couple of the new cards. So the one with the new card is a Violet, and I'm going to talk about that later. The one with the significant card, the reason you choose this color combination is the Headless Horseman. It's like such a strong character, like a brawl with 4-2 body and 2 roar. And his additional ability, giving your characters more strengths, is kind of like a game breaking. It's overpowered. Yeah, it's OP. The second one is Demona. So this color combination used to be like seeking some other cards like we need more Elsa. We need more Elsa in the deck. And now we have Demona. So after you play the tons of the character, you play the Demona and sweep in the board. The other card choices, they never come back, is a kind of the new choices. At the moment, the environment was like dominated by the banished character. The banished character has a weakness, and when they like choose by the action, then they're gonna be banished from the field. They never come back, giving you a chance to do that. And it is actually 1, 2, like 3 cards, giving you additional 1 card, and you can banish 2 characters, like a Palace Guard and the Cobra at the same time. The reason we choose different types of Ruby Amethyst this time is like this deck is focusing on gaining the roar. So most of the turn 1 character can quest it because like it's Diablo or Palace Guard, it's hard to remove, or like they don't have to challenge, they don't want to challenge because you have the Violet and Diablo on turn 2. And Lumiere, if they don't know about your color, when you just put in some Amethyst character on the turn 1, they cannot see what the color combination it is. So you can actually like remove their Rage deck with playing Rafiki and Lumiere, or you can remove their like 2 willpower character with Palace Guard and Lumiere. That is sudden attack. So in this deck, we have to run in full set of Dumbo. It's because this archetype has like a lot of the friends of Dumbo. If you only playing like a Genie and Elsa, you can reduce the number of the Dumbo. It's because Dumbo is not so effective. You only have 8 friends, and that's not like enough for that. But in this deck, like you have additional 6 friends, which are Violet and Tinker, though. And when you play Dumbo, you just activate his ability and giving you additional roar and the cards. Those are like the perfect combination, and you should running more than like 20 or at least like more than 16 basic character if you are running Dumbo. Other than that, like you just playing Dumbo and activate his ability is not so effective at the moment. So to make it efficiently, you should running more than 16 evasive characters. Another choice, Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. Junior Woodchuck Guidebook can be replaced by Elser, which is also the kind of the new card. You can also run in Shisu instead of this guidebook. Shisu is such a powerful card and it has a solid body, so if you wanna change it, maybe Woodchuck Guidebook would be the place for it. But other than that, I like to use this deck for the set champ because it's really fun to play and it can fight against Amethyst Steel color combination.
Yeah, for sure. I've been playing this list quite a bit, and yeah, I've mentioned it on the channel. I have been able to get Blurple as well, here and there. My list is different to this, and then I changed it a little bit. But yeah, when you're focusing on just a questing aspect, this list is quite good. I would say like library is also an honorable mention in this list, but the reason that I don't like library and I prefer guidebook is the guidebook is a guaranteed draws. Library, yeah, for sure. They have to challenge the location, otherwise you are able to gain significant amount of advantage. However, when you are playing library onto the body of characters that they already have, it's a card that they can deal with, and also it's not a card that is reliable. So
yeah, when you are behind, then you cannot play library.
Exactly. And also the other thing to mention with the library is that it breaks your ink curve every now and then. So you do have a turn where you go off your curve, so you can utilize the library in an earlier turn, so you can force to play it to possibly gain some card draw, and that could backfire if you're going first. So yeah, I've tested this list quite a bit, and that's like what I felt with the library. So just mind you that it's a good card, but think about it with like what you're trying to do with this deck, and then your goal plan of getting to the 20.
Yeah, it's Emerald Chromicon. However, if you are behind, it's like you cannot play that. That's for sure. I recommend Tai to use this archetype, this color combination for Singapore. It's because it can defeat Amethyst Steel. And the reason we choose this color combination, actually, we had other choice, such as Hercules. Hercules is powerful card. So check out the other video. You can see how powerful Hercules himself is. And to use him efficiently, like you should put Vanellope instead of Violet, because she's a hero. And also, you can also consider about applying Muran. Yeah, Peter Pan and Muran on this archetype. Instead of like a Violet and Tinkerbell, you can actually put like a Vanellope and Peter Pan. You can still play those cards anyway. Feel free to like swapping it and make the opponent confused. They were thinking about maybe this guy has Hercules. Maybe.
It's totally up to you with like what character you play with. It's they do the same thing. They are the same. The classification changes. So if you're wanting to go down the Hercules route, make sure that you are playing as many hero characters as possible to further your chances of being able to trigger that ability. One thing that I would like to mention before we go to the next list as well, yes, I'm a bit biased here because I'm playing this list right now, but I like how clear it is on what to keep when you're on the play and on the draw. On the play, it's simple. Just quest out and then get to 20 lore. On the draw, it's really nice because you go on the control side. So if you see all the cards that's there, on the draw, you probably want to have Palace Guard or Rafiki rather than Diablo. On the draw, you probably want to play Violet Subruing or Lumiere rather than Diablo. If you're on the 3 drop, you rather have Cheshire Cat than Tinkerbell. Another easy option. On the 4th turn, you probably want Demona rather than Genie, right? Like, all those options are very, very clear, and your game plan is very, very clear. And when the list is clear, you get really comfortable and confident with your deck. Meaning, like, you understand your opponent's deck and how they're gonna curve out to their advantage, and you are able to play around with it. So I recommend this archetype strongly. Because of that simplicity, there are decks that you can't beat on how they curve out. There's just no way that you can do it. But if you get good at it, and sometimes your opponent misplay or might miss a turn of being able to play to their curve, that's when you can definitely penalize them, because this deck is really good at doing that. Alright, so while we are on the topic of the Amethyst midrange, we definitely have to talk about this list. I say it multiple times. After the rotation, all the archetypes are rotated out, except the one, and it's this color combination. It's still here, it's never gone anywhere, it's always been solid, and it's Amethyst Steel. In Singapore, we saw heaps of, and I would say probably 70% of people are still playing this list. But yeah, let's go for a breakdown. So this list we are playing 12 Uninkables. We have changed quite a few of the cards actually. So one drop we have the brand new Olaf. We are running 2 copies of that, which we're gonna definitely talk about in a minute. And we have Palace Guard, Captain Hook, new card Black Heron. It's a vanilla 3/3 for 2 drop, which is very, very strong by the way. And we are running 4 copies of Calhoun, 4 copies of Cheshire Cat. It's silly not to run it, to be honest. This is one of the best cards in the game right now. And we have Giant Cobra, of course, and we are running 4 copies of Lexington still. Another card that can come out in a quite early turn with very strong strength as well as willpower. And we have Genie, we have 2 copies of Iago, 2 copies of Madam Mim Elephant, which we'll cover in a second as well. We are running 4 copies of Elsa. We are running also 4 copies of the brand new Hades, 1 copy of the Pluto, Steel Champion, which we'll talk about as well, 3 copies of Demona, and 2 copies of Double Trouble. For songs, we are running 4 copies of Thunderbolt as well as Strength of Raging Fire. Alright, Keiji, let's talk about a couple of the spicy cards that we also added and also the new cards from this set.
The reason we choose this build is because I know so many of you have the opinions about like I would like to play this card rather than blah blah blah. Yes, I understand it. It's because like the Amethyst still is one of the popular deck and it's stable and there's so many choices on turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no actual super solid list on this archetype. However, there's always core card in the deck. So the first card you should always keep in mind is like a Palace Guard, and the second one is Black Heron, the third one Cheshire Cat, and the fourth one is the Genie. And needless to say, Elsa and Hades has to be in the full set rather than just 3. Some people would like to play some tricky card, like just 1 singleton for the Silver Barret, and this deck actually can make it happen. It's because you have additional door with Genie or Dumbo usually, but in this archetype we cut Dumbo. As I told you before, Dumbo needs friends and there's not so much friends are in this deck, so that's why I cut Dumbo. And Dumbo, he doesn't do anything against Lexington, so yeah, in the mirror matchup it can be your like strongest point, but also it can be your weakest point. If you are relying on him and playing on him like on turn 4, you will be suffered because of like a Genie or Iago or Elsa or Madam Mim, even the Madam Mim. You cannot activate his ability because the Lexington is out there. You have to deal with him first. So that's why like in the mirror merge, Dumbo is not too strong, and instead of that, Hades and Elsa need to be stay 4 always. We choose some spicy card, which is Double Trouble. So Double Trouble can target 2 characters and only dealing 1 damage. As you can see, we always apply 4 banished character, and both of them are quite powerful and both stable. If they don't know about like we are running Double Trouble, then they will definitely going to play it, and we can deal with it. The other like strongest point is when they questing or challenge with like a Lexington or Cheshire Cat, and we can target them. It's such a powerful card, and it's a kind of the like a cloak and dagger. So one of the most effective cards in the environment if you are playing this archetype. The new change are coming, like even this deck always center in the metagame. Olaf is a kind of the new card. The reason the players start choosing him over any other cards is because we have the Cheshire Cat too. So Cheshire Cat boosts ability, adding some cards beneath him. Then after that, when you play Olaf, and when Olaf removed from the field, which is like when he leaving the play, such as banishing or even into the Inkwell or bouncing to the card, it triggered into the
or
back.
even bottom of the deck now, which is the new
bottom of the deck, sure.
Yeah.
So anywhere from the field. Yeah, and there's like a Cheshire Cat and all his cards are bounce back to your hand, and so which giving you additional hands.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely strong, I guess, blue-green or any kind of green type of deck, because it kind of saves one of your characters from being malicious scary action. So obviously if you had Cheshire Cat on the board, you can immediately recover your hand so you are ready to go back out wide again. Or if you obviously have cards that benefits going back to your hand, like Giant Cobra, that's definitely another target as well. Or Genie for additional draw, and just having an evasive board is perfect with this Olaf card.
The one last singleton card we choose was Pluto. The Pluto is another type of the Robin or Calhoun or Mushu, I'd say.
I feel like Mushu.
It's a kind of the Mushu, right?
Yeah.
So like it can give you additional roar, and then once they saw it, if that is a BO3 game, they always have to really careful about their crafting. It's because Giant Cobra or Lexington can give you additional roar and it can break the roar calculation. And his additional ability, it's rare to trigger. It's because we don't have much items on the field, but if your opponent is an aggro deck, you should keep him. Because they try to seal the game with Chromicon, but you can actually deal with it just playing Pluto.
Man, I just realized this card is so good in Infinity as well, because Amethyst steals Infinity is probably the archetype that they're a little bit weak into, is probably the item type of Ruby Sapphire, but every time you play a steel character, you may banish chosen item. This card is so strong. Gosh.
Yeah. You can break the popsicle or the sphere.
Yeah, you can break anything. That's pretty strong.
So yeah, Pluto, you should also put at least one singleton card. It's actually your choice. So let's talk about the cards we didn't choose this time. The reason I didn't choose Dock in this deck is it would be Break Your Hands. Don't get me wrong, because I love Dock. I love running full set with the Dock. It is a zero or a full set with Dock you should play. I don't prefer to use the list with just 2 or 3. It doesn't make sense as some mathematical point of view. It is actually makes sense. However, as I told you before, in the Ruby Amethyst deck, if you have too many options, your brain is not going to be work during the long tournament. You should make it more simplified. So that's why I remove the Dock. The Dock is not too necessary. Instead of the Dock, you have the Inkwell Olaf, so you can focus on that part. You can bounce back your character and questing it again, or you can protect your character by playing Olaf. The only weakest point about this deck, if you haven't drawn any Genie or Demoner, you cannot refill your hands or Hades. But usually they let you draw with a Hades or Demoner. At least you could draw one of them. You can refilling your hand easily. And most of the time, you are the protagonist in the game. Yeah, don't worry about that. Just play the character.
I think the other card that I would have mentioned is probably Goliath, wouldn't it? Goliath would have been the only one that cycles through, but I believe it's not here because obviously the Ink Curve, right? Another big card. We're already running 3 copies of Demona.
Ink Curve, and also if you're running Amethyst still, everyone knows about that. Too many options. And the space is so tight. I like to put so many other cards such as Pito, as I mentioned, Goliath, and Bell, more Iago, Dumbo of course. I like to put Madame Mim too, but there's not so much spaces. And this time I like to keep this deck simple and also make it kind of stable. So usually some people put 12 cards on turn 1 and turn 2. But if that is a BO3, it's a still set champ, 10 would be enough. You can squeeze in Mulligan hard and to find those cards. If you are truly unlucky, your hand will be filled with 4, 5, 6, but it could be rarely happen at least you could have 1 turn 2 drop and 1 turn 3 drop. So it'll be fine.
Yeah, I quite like this list. It's very, very clear on what you're doing. I really like Amethyst Steel, where obviously you got turn 1 drop, turn 2 drop, turn 3 drop, turn 4 drop, then Sing Strength or Raging Fire to rebuild their board while you went wider, and then you just close off the game by having a board state. It's probably one of the, I don't know, best mid-range tactic that's out there. And it has been for a really long time now in Lorcana now, after rotation especially. But with obviously cards like Calhoun, Olaf, Cheshire Cat, Giant Cobra, Lexington, that's so easy now to for them to gain an advantage that way. And in this deck, as KG mentioned, Mim Elephant and an Olaf plays a key role of refilling your hand advantage. So yeah, that's the only way for you to recover hand, so just be careful on that aspect. But yeah, as I said, 4 copies of Hades is absolutely crucial. That card does something as soon as you play it. Your opponent either has to lose a board state or you get to draw 2 cards. And trust me, this deck has worked so well in the past because Dock lets you draw 2 cards. If Hades is letting you draw 2 cards, you're gonna get to the cards that you need. Your deck has incredible amount of options. Must be nice, guys, playing Amethyst Steel. You have so many options, so you can always choose to play something else and then usually go wider and then go stronger and then just quest out for 20. So yeah, no, it's a really nice list.
Please suggest this thing when you are familiar with like your store metagame environment. Just change a couple of those, but if you have no idea, just go with this list and it can deal with any archetypes.
It's a very, very wider range, but can still deal with the majority of the stuff out there kind of deck. It's quite nice. Also cost efficient because you're not running Dumbo. It's actually quite affordable, I'll say. Except Demoners.
Yeah, except Demoner. Yeah, except Demoner. But like if you are the new player, like on the maybe like you just trading some cards with Ginny, and Hades and Demoner can be found in the store. Not too expensive.
And I feel like if you're committing to play store champs and stuff like that, Demoner is not a bad purchase, guys. Like for Amethyst card, it's quite strong. It's also from a new set as well, so it's gonna be around for a really long time. You'll definitely get your money's worth by the time that you're done with Demoner. So yeah, I recommend getting that card if you are thinking of playing this archetype. I don't see this list or this archetype going weak anytime soon. While we are talking about the mid-range Amethyst steel, let's talk about the Blurple. Obviously, we were at DLC Singapore recently. I recently did a little vlog of us playing in the DLC Singapore, so if you haven't checked that video, make sure to check that out as well. And yeah, winner of that competition was Blurple, and KG was also playing Blurple, so I'm sure he is very, very comfortable talking about this archetype. I will give a little brief down first. It's running 10 unlinkables, and it's running 4 copies of Rafiki, 4 copies of Basil, 4 copies of Tipo, 2 copies of Cheshire Cat, 4 copies of Dumbo, Genie, 2 copies of Iago, 2 copies of Bell to share the damage moving with the Cheshire Cat, and 4 copies of Elsa, 2 copies of Hades, 2 copies of the Invasive Vanessa, and Demona, 2 copies of, 4 copies of Hades, 2 copies of Monstro, 2 copies of Hypnotic Strength, which is sharing the slot with Magical Maneuvers, and 4 copies of Sardiazar Sea, 2 copies of One Jump Ahead, 4 copies of Into the Unknown, and 4 copies of Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. 4 new cards. We only got Vanessa that we haven't actually talked about, I believe. But yeah, let's get to them.
So like Amethyst Steel deck, this deck is really hard to build. It's because there's too many choices. And this time we play Rafiki rather than the Royal Guard. I prefer to play Royal Guard. However, if you don't familiar with that combination, then just go with Rafiki. At some point, Royal Guard is more effective, but Rafiki is also stable, so we choose Rafiki for the stability at this time. Needless to say, this archetype is kind of the mid-range control deck. You accelerate your ink with Sails as Rise C and Tipo, and playing powerful card on the earlier turn. Such as a Genie, Iago on turn 3, or even Dumbo on turn 3 would be powerful, and back up with the Elsa and Hades and Bell. The biggest change I made is we put Ultra Vanessa. So Ultra Vanessa giving you additional rolls, and she's quite first. When you play her on turn 4 and questing on turn 5, she's evasive and she's giving you 3 roar, and it's quite fastest way to earn the roar in the metagame. The reason the other color combination couldn't choose, but this color combination can use this Vanessa, it's because you have the ink acceleration. Ink acceleration make you let you play this character on the build earlier, or after you control the board, wipe the board entirely, then play this Ultra, you can finish the game. That's what we needed in the Blurple. Other choice I made is Demona and Monstro combination. So Monstro used to be dominated. It's because we were running the second star to the right, and the Monstro was actually good body for that card. But both of those cards are too heavy. You cannot keep them in your starting hands, and you usually do the mulligan, and even they are coming back, and you are bricked because of them. Most of the time, Monstro going to the Inkwell, or second star to the right actually staying in your hands until the very much last moment. So that's why in this environment, the first environment, we play Junior Woodchuck Guidebook rather than second star to the right. I knew the power of the second star to the right because of that card. I could win the Open tournament so many times. However, the environment has been changed. Unless you are aiming for big winning with the stability, such as I know there are some professional players running the full develop your brain and running with second star to the right. And there's a strategy. I also can recommend that part too. But in this version, we're focusing on more stability on the store champ level. You cannot see what type of deck is coming, but also you knew about the store. So that's why Junior Woodchuck Guidebook is more good way to play, and it's inkable, so you really don't have to squeeze your hands mulligan hard. I wouldn't like to prefer one jump ahead in the deck. I think like I told you before, the reason is like if you draw that card after turn 5 or 6, you will probably think about why I put this card in the deck. Yeah, I know how it feels. But it is effective when you are running monster. You can still have one additional meaningless card, but like a monster can use that card wisely. So that like there's an exception. Like if you're running monster, you can put one jump ahead, and one jump ahead actually increase the percentage of the ramping, actually like ink accelerating. So that's why I recommend you to put them at least one, and this archetype I put 2. Another change has been made. I usually running for Iago. Iago is so powerful, and everyone gonna shaking their head when they see Iago and they don't have any action. I believe most of the players learn from the bitter experience, so that's why they have the actions to deal with Iago. In that case, Iago is not the best card. Most of the time, you would like to running the Madame Mim. You can swap this Iago to Madame Mim actually, or you just play Dumbo and see how the opponent is like and try to remove it. So that you can play Hades and gain additional draw, or actually responding the characters, then finish the game with Demona or Ulthra, or even Monstro. And Monstro, I told you like a Monstro and Demona is a combo. I really don't have to explain that, but like when you play Monstro first, and the second, another turn, you play Demona, refilling the hand, and also exerting all their characters, and challenge with Monstro. That's such a simple combination. The reason you choose Amethyst Sapphire, it's not because it's expensive, but it's because like it can respond many archetypes. Even like that is like on BO1 or BO3, it depends on your store champ setting. However, this deck will be suffering. It's because everyone knows this deck is powerful. Like I use a metaphor, like if Amethyst Steel is a protagonist, then Amethyst Sapphire is antagonist. You are the villain. Because you're playing the powerful cards ever in this environment. Hades, Dumbo, Genie, Iago, and Demoner. And another Hades is crazy. But yeah, if you are confident about like the meta environment, maybe like you would choose this card combination. It requires player skill, and it requires luck, kind of. I made it more like stable. You really won't suffer about like mulligan hard to finding the ink acceleration. I hope there are 10 now. So yeah, 1 out of 6 you can find them. Yeah.
I'm still not convinced to play this list.
In that case, actually, like you can reduce some bit of Rafiki and perhaps bit of Iago. I think a magical maneuver and put full develop your brain, and so you may have the chance. To find them.
I think if I was to play Blurple, I would need 4 copies of T4, 4 copies of Sail the Azure at Sea, 4 copies of One Jump Ahead, 4 copies of Develop Your Brain. Then I can think about playing Blurple, and at that point I have too many card slots there. So yeah.
And the 4 Elsa with one draw.
I think so. Yeah, I definitely had a terrible experience in DLC Open, so I don't think I'll be playing this archetype anytime soon for that reason. But yeah, no, I enjoy playing Blurple, and yeah, if you can ramp, it's great. And luckily with cards like Cheshire Cat, and I would like to say obviously Junior Woodchuck Guidebook with Royal Guard kind of saves you not having enough early drops, because you can fill that 3-drop gap. So that's been okay, but yeah, I would need to probably play more of that list and then the ramp list because of the consistency. But yeah, with saying that, I think this archetype is still really good and still solid.
Yeah. One last thing about the consistency, like, and some people cutting the turn 1 in like characters, and I say no to that. It's because you cannot win against aggro deck if you do that. I won many games against Amber Emerald, and sometimes I didn't accelerate the ink. So many times, even in the Auckland. I faced Amber Emerald 3 times, and I defeated them all. Half of the games, I didn't accelerate. I didn't accelerate at all, but I still won the game. And how to do that? You have to put so many turn 1 ink, at least 8. Other than that, you have no chance to winning against like aggro deck. Some people tend to choose like just 3 Basil or 3 Rafiki and put some additional like heavy cards. If you are confident about your luck, then do that, but I wouldn't recommend you to the gambling about playing this deck. This deck is a control deck. Control deck has to be stable. Try to choose Develop Your Brain, that's fine. Develop Your Brain can be swapped with some of the turn 1 character. However, you still need at least 7 turn 1 drop characters, not 6. 6 is not enough, and your percentage of winning will be like significantly declined because of that. As Tai said, like if you are not confident about putting the ink acceleration, you should keep more turn 1 drop. Then you can win. You can win at some point, and we have the backup with like Shisha Cat and Iago this time. So that's why don't lose your hope and don't try not to do the gambling about this deck.
No, I agree. If the deck is so heavily relying on for you to be able to ramp on the turn 2, then you should definitely not be cutting the 1 drop, because then if you miss that, then your first drop is turn 3. That's just not good enough in the current meta right now. You're just running 60 cards of cardboard. Like that's not a deck. So make sure that you do have 1 drop so you can actually play something at least on turn 1. And if you miss turn 2 ramp, that's fine. Forget about it.
That's fine.
But
yeah, forget about it. Like just play like guidebook on turn 3.
Yep, exactly.
It's fine.
All right, let's move on to the final deck that we're going to talk about today, which is, including the Sapphire color, it's Sapphire Steel. The other deck is obviously Emerald Sapphire, but we have done a gameplay on the deck list, and I'm sure from what we have talked about today, it's quite self-explanatory on what the deck is trying to do. It's about the collateral draw, going into the malicious scary combo, or spooky side for some of the lists, and obviously playing big cards like Hades. So that's that list. That's quite understandable, and instead we're going to be talking about the list where we are running the Titans. Let's talk about this list. So we have 18 uninkables. This is probably the only
18
archetype that can run that many uninkables right now, but we're going to get to why in a minute. So we are running obviously 4 copies of Mulan for that reason, and 4 copies of Tipo. And guess what? That's the only 1 and 2 drop. We're going to skip the turn 3, we're going to go to 4, which is Cinderella, which is the brand new card that we haven't talked about today, so we're going to be talking about her quite a bit. We are running 4 copies of her. Then for our turn 5 drops, we are running 4 copies of Namari, 2 copies of the Jasmine, and we are running 3 copies of the reprinted Ariel, 4 copies of the brand new Goliath, 2 copies of the reprinted Tinkerbell, and 4 copies of the Hades, Vincenzo, and 3 copies of the brand new card, Headless Horseman. For us to make sure that we can get to the ramp, because this deck is probably more crucial to ramp than Blurple actually. We are running 4 copies of Develop Your Brain, 4 copies of Azrath Sea, and for us to get rid of the aggro decks, we are running 2 copies of Spooky Sight. We're going to talk about this reasoning as well in a minute. For songs, we are running 12 action songs to trigger Ariel's ability quite nicely, which are 1 copy of One Jump Ahead, 4 copies of Strength of Raging Fire and the Thunderbolt, 2 copies of Beyond the Horizon, and 2 copies of the Mob Song. Okay, let's get to this crazy list and then talk about the individual cards.
So this deck looks crazy, and I told you do not do the gambling when you play the landing, like ramping. And I wouldn't take it back. It's because this deck is not gambling. When you look at closer, we have 8 cards in turn 1, which are Mulan and Develop Your Brain. Both cards try to find your acceleration cards. Also running like a 9 ink acceleration cards, Sales as I see, and One Jump Ahead and Tipo. So turn 1 drop is actually trying to like supporting those cards. Like if you don't have them at the beginning, and you just definitely play Develop Your Brain or Mulan and try to find them. And please accelerate. Sometimes without the acceleration, you can win when the opponent is like try to control the board, and with like slow starter, they also didn't play any turn 1 or turn 2 drop, or they couldn't play turn 4 drop, then you can win the game if you are lucky enough. But most of the time, you would like to start with ink acceleration and following with some other card. The one with a new powerful card, like Cinderella. Cinderella is a new card, brand new card, and she's such a powerful card. Why not so many decks can be running it? It's because it's focusing on acceleration, the ink. Her ability itself is actually solid. It can provide you additional cards when you can still accelerate in your ink. Every time you play the princess, which are like Ariel, Jasmine, and Namari. You can still trigger her ability as well. So she's kind of the core card for this deck. Acceleration and follow up with Cinderella. If not, you just throw the Thunderbolt to the opponent's side. The deck movement is kind of simple. You accelerate and play the biggest character ever, such as Goliath, Tinkerbell, Ariel, and even Namari. Namari is a kind of the key card. So Namari is also like cycling your hands. You draw a card and discard a card. Try to find the answer against the opponent like board. You only focus on the board, not focus on the hands too much. It's because once you play Goliath, they have to squeeze their hands and put all their characters as much as they could do. Other than that, they have to discard their hands. So that's why you really don't have to think about how many cards in their hands. I mean, you will ask so many times. Anyway, if they have like a 5 or 6 cards, you're definitely going to play Goliath. If not, then keep Goliath for the later, for refilling your hands. Then just playing bigger characters, such as Ariel or Vincent, Vincenzo or Hades. You are a big character, such as like those Hades and Vincenzo, actually can deal with many of the characters. You know, like the Hades can remove any characters. You saw that in Blurple or Sapphire Emerald. Vincenzo is additional like a removal card which aiming Dumbo, because Dumbo only have like a 3 willpower. But also you can remove Diablo or Heron, Black Heron or any other like small characters. You can even remove 4 willpower character with challenging with people. So, yeah, like all the time, Vincenzo is kind of a solid card. And the Headless Horseman, it has a randomized part. You have to draw 3 cards, and both of the player draw 3 cards and discard 3 cards. Sometimes it helps you, sometimes it's not. But most of the time, Headless Horseman can remove at least 1 character. The choice we've been made is, actually I've learned that from my friend in Hong Kong. He plays Mob Song, and because of this card I lost the game in Singapore. So the Mob Song is kind of the answer against the Amethyst decks. Mob Song can choose at least like the maximum 3 characters on the board, and dealing 3 damage to each characters. That's powerful. And also you can choose a location as well. Depends. Not so many times. But like, yeah, not so many times unless they have the rivalry or they run in some location deck. But the Mob Song usually targeting Dumbo, Jenny, Iago, those characters. And to take down Jenny, you also need like Tinkerbell or Ariel or Jasmine. But most of the time, I think you might have it. The Mob Song, they usually expect not too much against this deck, because if you don't have like a Mob Song, the dual action you can do is like play some character and sing a song. And most of the time that song is like Thunderbolt or Strength of Raging Fire. They didn't expect the Mob Song. And when you play the Mob Song, you can sweep the board easily, quite easily. Only downside is like it has that cost 10. You're usually not thinking 10 unless you have the Cinderella. So most of the time, you just sing a song with your characters. So focusing on trying not to quest or challenging too much. If you have the Goliath, keep him standing and wait until you play the Mob Song or any other removal songs. Any question?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, we recently did a dictic on this archetype as well, which was like running a little bit of different things. It's quite simple but complicated, I would say. Simple in the sense that you have to ramp and you have to get to your ramp. Hitting Cinderella almost is like crucial for you to be able to get to that ink threshold or where you are trying to get to. But from there, it weirdly becomes consistent, because if you had the Cinderella on board and it didn't get removed, which is kind of a crucial part for this deck, by the way, you can cycle again with Jasmine and Namari. And Namari being played, you can cycle once again. Then on the next turn, if you had Goliath, Goliath cycles once again. Before that, you're already playing cards like Mulan, Develop Your Brain, possibly Sail the Azure Sea, which are other options for you to cycle your deck. So you do surprisingly get to the cards that you need more often than you think, despite this crazy amount of uninkable cards and crazy amount of big cost characters.
So all the cards are aligned into one thing: acceleration, stability, removing the character cards. Some cards like turn 1 choices like Mulan and Develop Your Brain, you can actually play that on turn 9 or 10 still. It's because it can refill in your hands and you can find another Hades or Headless Horseman. The thing I should mention about is like a spooky side. So I was kind of the struggle when I creating this list. The first time I put 3 spooky sides, 2 is actually not enough to deal with some aggro deck. You really need to draw this card. So that's why I would love to running with at least 3 or sometimes even 4, because it's the only way to fight against the aggro deck. This deck is a bit too slow. So if you knew there's tons of Amethyst steel deck is out there, you can reduce the number of the Headless Horseman and swap it with the Spooky Sight. Or if you don't like the mob song at all, then you can swap it with Spooky Sight. That I could recommend. The other reason, I didn't choose he had his Thunderbolt, not the full set, but 3, is because first it's an inkable. And second, it only can remove one character, just one character, and it's uninkable still. So it's a bit really hard. The reason I choose a Strength or Raging Fire is because it's stable, and you have to fight back against the characters on the earlier turn. And in that case, those characters are not having too much strength, but you need some removal still. And you don't want to waste your Thunder just because of that. So that's why those gaps can be filled by Strength or Raging Fire. And of course, if you are running Ariel, you have to run at least 10 songs. And preferably, I'd love to run in 14 to 16, but there's not so much space on it. And this deck can cycle in its hands. So that's why I downsized it to 12. If you would like to see the maximum effort of the Ariel, I highly recommend split Spooky Side into the 2 plays, one into the He Howled Thunderbolt, and another one into the Ariel or Tinkerbell, so that your mob song and those Tinkerbell and Ariel can be work more efficiently, and you really don't have to confuse about which card you should play, when you are facing the moment that you have Spooky Side and Tinkerbell at the same time, and you are facing the faster decks such as Amber Emerald Aggro. If you don't have any choice, you just play Tinkerbell. Play Tinkerbell and dumping your hands and sweeping the board. That's simple. So Spooky Side is the only part I'm still struggling about. So please feel free to change that part, adjust it to your environment. I highly recommend running full set of He Howled his Thunderbolt sometimes. Yeah, I know that some of you also want running the Headless Horseman. It's because it's powerful. It's another kind of the finisher in this deck. But sometimes it's too slow, and sometimes it couldn't take down evasive character. So that's why I bring back Jasmine to the board again. Jasmine has a solid body on the field. She has 7 willpower. It's hard to remove, and she can have 6 strengths if you discard a card. And if you don't need 1 jump ahead anymore, you just discard it. Or if you can't play Spooky Side, just discard it. Jasmine is a kind of the character which can, recycling your card. She's also still princess, so following up with Cinderella, you can lump your hands. Yeah, you can also save your hands. And with singing the mob song, you definitely need the body on the field, which is a character, I say. So that's why you need a full set of Namari and at least 2 set of Jasmine, so that you can play mob song on turn 6 or 7.
Alright, so today we have talked about the 6 archetypes that is quite common right now for Disney Lorcana Set 10 Whispers in the Well meta. It's looking quite spicy.
Yeah, we choose that. We choose kind of the spicy list. Let's give it a try for the new cards. The developers and I think the showrunners would love to see those cards in the new metagame. Actually, it feels refreshing. Such champ is about to winning. Yeah, you need some Playmat, some promo card for sure, I know. But at the same time, you should enjoy the Lorcana rather than just focusing on and gazing at your card. There's so many beautiful cards. That's the reason I choose Tinkerbell rather than Pintapan. I love that illust from drawn by Maria. I love her illustration. The Elsa promo card was drawn by her. Find a new card for your store champs. Most of the time, people just stuck in the one mind. Dumbo is so powerful. We should play full set of Dumbo. Some of your friends will say that too. I will say that too. I will say that too. However, sometimes look at that card really close. Is that card really needed? Dumbo is so effective, but without the friends, Dumbo is just giving you additional 1 card. And Elsa can do that too. Elsa turn 3 can do that too. He can remove by just any, Strength Raging Fire or just Sinton. It's a power card, I know. It can end the game, yes. And it is expensive too. So, what card are you gonna play? Yeah. What big archetype you will choose? Yeah, don't overwhelmed by those powerful cards, because there's always way to defeat those cards. Iago? Sure, just play action.
Yeah, I think it's quite nice that North is the Fabled meta. We only probably had 4 archetypes out there that actually was being played for like the set championship as well as probably the DLC season. But this time we have at least 6 that are quite solid, quite popular. Then we have obviously rogue decks out there that we know of, such as obviously the Amber Amethyst and some Emerald Ruby, some Amber Sapphire, and also obviously we didn't talk about it today, but Baja and Circle of Life. So there are definitely other archetypes out there, and yes, for sure, like KG said, it's definitely refreshing to have a bit of a change in meta. So obviously the list that we talked about today is what we have made, and also the grand point is that it's like a default deck, so you of course have to adjust it to your playstyle, your skill level, and also your environment too. And if it's so far from like what you usually play or what you're comfortable with, maybe like there are other types out there. Yeah, make sure to not forget that part as well. What you're confident in playing is usually your best deck.
Yeah, use your best deck. Because I can say that too.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and good luck for your set championship. Make sure you get your Daisy promos, and hope some of you get the Daisy playmats. If you do let us know in the comments below what archetypes that you did it with. We'd love to know, and we'd love to see your list as well.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe our channel below so that we can make more Lorcana content for you guys. Stay ready till the next time. Bye.